Took a little longer than normal, but in the middle of listeners. After in the morning, we're good. I saw some snaps of some that was like 11 o'clock. Barely moving on the couch, and I was like, on my way home from water you already. Will be your days of life.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to get a little.
Yeah.
All I do is I'm trying to figure so I can't. It doesn't play. But we're good. I think we can. We'll be alright.
Look at my book. We're really long. You were scared, right? Oh, those are just mine. There's another here over by the store. Yeah, I checked those. That's what I said, but I didn't. Totally throw it. They have your name on it? I thought I could have. Not even for what I was thinking. I got it.
Acknowledge that we have a quorum. Did I get an approval of the agenda? A motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Aaron moved and Erica seconded. To approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? If you're all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. To review the board's common message. The Illinois School Board strives to provide an environment where students can be happy, healthy, and awesome in their educational pursuits. We believe that each student can graduate ready for college and/or a career. To do so, we will provide a safe, nurturing, and engaging learning environment that meets individual wellness, social, and emotional needs. Item number 5 on the agenda is open forum for district residents who would like to speak to any item on the agenda. Okay, then we'll move on to item 6, which is presentations. Hawaii Middle School Band.
Miss Francis.
Ms. Brandon, there.
Miss Francis.
Yeah, Bradley.
We can do, we want to start with other reports.
How about I go? Keep her. Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the life of band. Tonight, I just kind of want to talk about coming out of COVID, how band has changed in Oline and how our practices have changed, but our program is still really solid. This year, the 5th grade tryouts completely different than we'd ever done in the past. In front of each of you is a blue box, and inside that box are plastic mouthpieces that are dishwasher safe. With the ESSER money, we were allowed to get 25 sets of these plastic mouthpieces, which are what students used to try out on in 4th grade to see what instrument actually fits their face. Tonight, my 5th graders are going to demonstrate how they went through instrument testing with me last year. 5th graders, will you pair up with somebody that has the same instrument as you? And will you go teach one of the school board members how to make a sound on your mouthpiece? We're going to put you to work tonight, and they are going to teach you how to make a sound on one of the mouthpieces, just like I would have done with them in 4th grade. All right, 5th grade, go find someone, teach them how to make a sound on one of the mouthpieces. Percussion, you can just hang out.
Using the big drum. We need our mouthpiece to explain it. It's complicated. It is complicated. I mean, you're the one who has to teach it. Okay, then do it. We've got 2 minutes left. Sarah, we're doing line 1 and 2 and 5, 6, 7. So be 2, 3, 4. So we're going to do 1. She's doing these 2 while we're going to ask all the 3 and 4. Need to get down there.
Good job. It's really cool.
And oh, it says slow down. Tell me to slow down. Keith, I think you have a notch.
Move the chairs back. One chair.
And joining band is they try all of the mouthpieces to find what instrument naturally works for them and which one doesn't. Every student I've ever had has always had one that's naturally easier than the other, so we try to clear that so the students start off nice and strong so they don't get discouraged from the start. Like I said, we have 25 kits, which allows me to test 25 kids a day. I take them home, run them through the dishwasher, bring them back the next day so I can get through an entire grade in a week, which is way faster than what we were doing pre-COVID, where I would just bring my instruments. Kids were playing on my instrument one at a time because I only had one of each and they were sharing a lot of terms, which is kind of gross. This eliminates all of that, which has been really, really handy. And since I get 25 kids tested a day, like I said, we do 10 in a week, whereas before it was taking 3 to 4 weeks to get through everybody. So this has been really nice. When I was home over the COVID shutdown, I had lots of time to research new curriculum. So this year, I actually stepped out of my comfort zone and we ordered a brand new beginner band curriculum that is hot off the market. This was developed pre-COVID. I hadn't heard a lot about it. I really liked what I read about, so this year I decided just to jump in. It's moving these students a lot faster than the old curriculum was, which is really, really nice. This year we started band day 1 of school starting. We've never done that before. We'd always started second quarter, just so students had a chance to do lessons with me, learn how to put the instrument together, and then join group band. We didn't do it that way this year. They learned how to put their instruments together one-on-one during lessons, but we had group band with everyone without instruments for the first 6 weeks, which was scary for me because I thought, oh my gosh, what do I do with them without instruments from the band teacher? And this curriculum walks them through how to read rhythms, how to read pitches, how to do all of that stuff without needing the instrument, which has been really nice. Will you take out just your mouthpieces, percussion, go ahead and play on your instruments. Open up to page 1.
Just mouthpieces.
Just mouthpieces. Remember when we did this the very first couple weeks of school?
Oh yeah, we use mouthpieces. We use covers. Yeah, we use covers.
So the very first couple weeks of school was just learning how to play on the mouthpiece and how to read rhythms. So this is what we sounded like our first couple weeks of school. On page 1, will you play line A with me?
Page 1.
Page 1.
We just
we'll
play-
use rhythm charts.
We play 1 on. I'm not ready.
Okay.
We do 3A.
I like this.
We do 3A.
This is page 1, first day rhythms.
All of us?
Remember the first day rhythms we did at the very, very beginning of the
Then
year?
where do we go?
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
We are going to do line A on mouthpieces and on percussion. That's solid. Good? All right, here we go. Line A, just on mouthpieces. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, end of the song. Show me thumbs. How'd you do? Up, middle, down. I see lots of thumbs up. Can we go on to one more? Let's go to line F. Here we're going to use half notes and quarter notes. Think about it. How many beats do half notes get?
2.
Very good. Quarter notes get?
1.
Excellent. Line F. Here we go. 1 and 2. Line F and go. Rest. Ready. Go. Rest, go. Rest. Show me thumbs how to do. After the first couple days of doing that, over and over, when they could get good sounds out on their mouthpieces, we were able to put the whole instrument together. Go ahead and put the whole instrument together.
Can we do 3A now?
Page 3, or 3A for percussion. You'll notice the percussion switch instruments every song. In the old curriculum, they only played bells for a semester, so we didn't have the opportunity to switch. In this curriculum, they learned snare drum, cymbals, triangle, and balance all in one couple pages, which is really nice. It keeps them engaged. Percussion are always way at the back of the room, far away from me, so I can't always get to them when you hear problems. So this keeps them busy and occupied. Page 3, number uno. Okay.
Uno reverse.
Whole notes, getting how many beats?
4.
Excellent. We finally get to play our first note on our entire instruments.
Yours. It's loud.
Ready? Now imagine this with 55 of them in here, because I have 55 fifth grade band. It is full from riser to riser.
Line
Only
one.
any-
Line one.
Line 1.
Okay, good. I thought I was on line 3.
No, we'll give Betsy a second. Relax. Okay. Ready? Here we go. Line 1. Whole notes. 1, 2, ready, go. We stayed learning the same pitch, so practicing the same fingers and slide positions, but we add new rhythms to it. Here's number 2. 1 and 2 and ready, go. Out how to make a good sound, no squeaks, no squawks, no blasting. We start to switch fingers and slide positions. So we're going to move on to our new note. Here is song 3, the second note that we've learned. Band, should this note sound higher or lower than our first note?
Lower.
It should sound just a little bit lower. Here we go, number 3. Yep, number 3. 1, 2, ready, go. To ask for a volunteer. Do I have any 5th graders that want to come up and do my job for me? Julia, come on up. One of the other things that I really looked into during at-home COVID time was how to involve student leaders more in the band. We now have, yep, you're going to do the hands. We now have student directors, attendance captains, equipment captains, section leaders, photographers, publicists, and concert MCs. They're doing some of my job during rehearsal, but they really seem to enjoy that leadership and being asked to go above and beyond. If you did the O1 paper, you may have seen some of our publicists. They're writing about how we're doing in band and what we're doing, and their words are going into the newspaper, and it's got their name written in it, which is really cool. Same with our photographers. They're taking pictures, we're submitting them to the paper, and the students are getting credit for the work that they're doing. So that's been a really positive step that our students have been taking this year. So Julia is going to be our student director. I'm not going to do anything. Julia, will you lead the band through song number 7? 7. Let's go to number 7.
Oh, 5. You said 5.
I'm going to challenge you. Let's go to 7. Okay. 3 notes in this one.
3, 2, 1, go.
Awesome. Very good. Now will you turn the page? Go to page 4. Julia has another student who has come up to the platform. Maddie is my brave soul. Maddie, come on up. Page 4, song number 8. I believe this is where we left off in rehearsal when I saw you last week.
Yeah. No,
I was in your
that
lesson.
was track. We were in 8.
Did we do number 8?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what we ended on.
Beautiful. So this is the hardest song they've seen so far. Song 8 uses 3 notes, all of the rhythms that they've learned so far. Ready for the challenge?
Yeah.
We only did this one day last week. Let's see how they've done on only one day of practice. Maddie, you're in charge. Song 8.
1, 2, ready, go.
Not too shabby. But we all make mistakes, and that's why we practice. We still have 4, 8, 9, 10 weeks until our first concert. The end of January will be their first public performance. But they're already about a page and a half with this curriculum ahead of where we were with the old curriculum, which is really exciting for me to see that rigor develop, and hopefully they'll be miles ahead when they get to Mr. McBride in 8th grade. Our numbers post-COVID in this middle school building have remained relatively unchanged. I've got 38 in 7th grade, 35 in 6th grade, and 54 in 5th grade. So we've got around 120 to 130 kids in the middle school involved in 6th and 7th grade band. So I'm really proud of the progress that they've made. They're incredibly resilient. I've been sick, my family's been sick, I'm pregnant, which doesn't help to the whole thing, and they're still rocking and rolling and doing everything that I'm asking them to do. They've done a really good group to work with. Any questions for me? Do you have anything you want to share with the school board while we're here? It's not very often you have a chance to ask the bosses questions. Nothing?
Miss Vance, you know you need to send the link to when you got
Yes.
the single.
Well, if you want to go ahead and pack your stuff up, you may pack your stuff up. Thanks for coming in tonight.
I'm gonna have to put more stuff back.
Good work. I'll go get
Will, you're going. I know. I was
Take a 5-minute recess. So let's unpack up.
You can go
Parents,
outside.
parents can, you guys are welcome to leave, you don't have to stay. And we're gonna transition our tables actually, you guys can see this.
all the first.
Miss Brandon, do you need us to put our stuff in the spots?
Put it in your cubbies, leave this stuff, I'll take care of it. Okay?
I'm going away now. Thank you. Happy birthday, Alyssa. Thank you.
I'll tell you a story.
Good work.
Yeah. Sell that small commercial.
Okay, yeah. You know what? They need to like broaden.
The appetite?
Yeah.
Working on it. Whatever I can do.
All right. I'm sorry. I already tried to put my instrument together wrong. He's
Oh, no, it's here.
Bye. Great.
Well, I really sucked at being
Oh, there you go.
I just have to. Oh, yeah. See, I was
Never lose it.
Never lose it.
I did move it, so it was easy. Like sitting close.
Take my car home.
Anyone object to me closing the door?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you. This is cold.
Said the exact same thing that
Worried.
we're missing something.
Yeah. Well, you signed the Western agreement, that was the big agreement.
It's an 8 pencil line in the shop to my house. So I left it. I do so I rode my bike down. By the time I got there, I was frozen. My hands really wouldn't work. And then I started like I didn't have any crap if I started to
Whenever you're ready.
Yep.
All right, we are on to reports. Mrs. Jacobs.
All right, so now that we are past the state tournaments and things like that, we can officially announce our all-conference and all-state honors for our fall sports, which is kind of funny, now that winter competitions are officially underway to be announcing these, but we have to wait until all the conference schools get through to officially announce them. So, all-conference volleyball, second team was Zoe Reisner. Honorable mention was Emma Smock, and if you don't pay attention to volleyball that much, out of the 15 NICL schools, 12 of the 15 made a bid into the state tournament. So NICL is very good at volleyball, so we should be very proud of the season that our girls had. They had a tremendous season, and those two girls in particular, along with Lily King, the other senior, really led the team to their success this year. All-state cross-country is a little easier to do because they just base it off the top runners at state. So Connell Sauser got those honors. And then all-district football, you can see them listed there for first, second, and honorable mention team. First team, Carter Jeans, Alex Duffy, Ethan D. Timmerman, and Parker Spearsloggy. Second team was Weston Woodson and Great Engineer. And then senior Chris Rocha received an honorable mention for that. Now, academic all-conference. I will not read all the names, because we had a whopping 31 of our student athletes receive academic all-conference or all-district honors. Football divides them into first and second team. So for all-conference honors, these students had to have a 3.33 GPA or higher. For football, first first team was around that same thing, and then second team was a 3.25. So it's pretty cool, and we're really proud of those students. You know, in my eyes, as a student athlete, that's the best accomplishment you can get. And then on the update sides of things, pretty short here since we're just getting underway with winter sports. MASH was fantastic. Our students and our directors, Liz Stang and Josh Shunk, just did a phenomenal job. We had the opportunity to perform dress rehearsals for the middle school and high school, which went really well. They didn't do the whole thing, but they were able to do select scenes. So it was neat to have that go across the district. And then their 2 performances were just outstanding. Under the healthy side of things, yep, we're in full swing. Our first high school competition here at home is tomorrow with JV Varsity Girls against Postville. We had our first, sanctioned girls only wrestling meet over the weekend. Our girls traveled down to Independence for a tournament there. They went 8 and 10 in the day, which, given the fact that 3/4 of our team are brand new, it's pretty darn good. And then under awesome, it's really cool that our students take advantage of every single opportunity we have. So BPA and DECA last weekend went down to Des Moines for their state conferences. The Hearts Club went down to Ankeny, the DMAC campus, for a Trans Summit put on by the Iowa Safe Schools. We had the MACL Honor Band and Honor Choir last week as well. There's just all sorts of things going on, and our students are really taking advantage of all the opportunities we have. Despite being a smaller school, we have a ton to offer, and it's great when students go to these awesome events because not every student has those opportunities. If I can pick on Michael, I know he loved his BPA experience, and it's just something that will stick with them for the rest of their lives. So that's all I have.
Any questions? Mr. McGinnis?
All right. So November saw our first quarter edge assemblies, and so we recognize students' effort in the classroom, both just effort in general and most improved effort. And so a big thank you to Barb Winter. She does a tremendous job organizing each of those assemblies and wings and little huskies. And then our next quarter's focus will be on being dependable. Next thing, so math curriculum adoption. It feels like all last year I talked about ELA, so this year you guys get to listen to me talk about math curriculum. So our BLT has started the process of adopting new math curriculum. Even though it may seem like a lot because we're just really getting into the ELA stuff, the process will take enough time so that our teachers should be more comfortable and well versed in the ELA side of things before having to take on a new math curriculum. And so part of that whole process is first just kind of starting with the timeline of things. And so you can see, so this fall of 22, we worked on our vision for what we want math to be like in Oelwein, kind of what our goals are, and then we'll dig into some data and really get into the weeds of where we need more support curriculum-wise in math. And I'm not going to read through that whole timeline for you, but just know that it is a lengthy process, but the reasoning behind that is because we're going to be spending a lot of taxpayer money, and we want to make sure that we're making the right decision, a very thorough decision. And so our BLT has had some conversations already about what we want math to be like in Oelwein, and we've crafted that mission statement in there. And so math in Oelwein engages all students to increase achievement with strong number sense skills while developing mathematical thinking and reasoning. This occurs through hands-on learning, differentiation, and real-world applications, which provide consistent routine using common language and strategies across grade levels. And so really this is kind of the anchor to our work. As we start digging into different resources, this is what we will constantly keep in the back of our minds. And then lastly, this month we had our annual coat giveaway. So this year we were able to give away approximately 50 coats, a handful of hats and boots and mittens as well. And so a big thank you to Mr. Garnett, Mrs. Winter, and Mrs. Schmitz for organizing and distributing the coats. And a big thank you to the Presbyterian and Methodist churches, along with the Knights of Columbus, for helping keep our kids, help keep our kids warm during these cold months.
Our Odyssey room has grown by 2 middle school students, so we currently have 5 students in Odyssey. We've got the 3 fifth graders, we have a 7th grader and an 8th grader. But with that said, 2 of our 5th graders, second semester, will transition back to the middle school for 1 or 2 classes. Looking at a math class, because both of them feel that that's where they want their most support, is face-to-face teaching with the math. And our goal is to always get them into the least restrictive environment. And they're excited about that transition back. Our O2 program has continued to grow. In the last 3 weeks, I believe we have taken 10 students, but we are getting 2 to 3 calls, emails, and then follow-ups a week. We've currently got 4 students that have decided they will stay with their home schools until the semester break so that they can earn those credits instead of coming in credit deficient. And then start with us for the second semester. They've already done their paperwork, they're just waiting on their start dates. We have had to stop at this point taking students with IEPs, but as I'm finding out, we are not the only virtual school in the state that has had to do that. All of the online schools have had to stop taking students with IEPs. We've just run out of time spots and teachers. The growth has been a great thing. Teachers are working hard to build those relationships with our students and the parents. And then we are also continuing to build the guidelines and expectations so that the kids know exactly what to expect to be successful.
All right, if I could have first the student council members, you know. So, because our first meeting was about the student council, so I really, there were some other students here, but these are some of the members of our Husky Council. Jackson Bouchard, who's the president.
Hi.
We're learning on public speaking and stuff like that. Sarah Gearhart, who is the vice president. Peyton Hahn, who is our secretary. And then there was other members. They were here to greet people as they came in. But you can sit down now. Thank you. They're a great group of kids, and you can see this is a picture with all of them there. But we hosted our student activity night, which was a huge success, like I say up there. I think the big thing for all of us with the Husky Council and myself is the fact that the middle school was able to raise $1,000 to donate to the Plentiful Pantry. We didn't have 1 bottle of water left. We didn't have 1 bag of chips left. It was a great night. Kids had fun, and so to give back to the community is very important to all of us. And here's a great picture of us handing the check over, $1,000. We're continuing, the staff is continuing to look at at data and like what are those next steps to ensure that we're meeting the needs of all of our students academically. Our math team met with an AEA specialist for a whole afternoon, and then that morning they worked on different things related to their math and the scope and sequence and things like that to really look at that information and see, like, are there different things that we should be doing, and they were able to come up with some great ideas in regards to using common vocabulary and things like that. Then our ELA team met with Savis, who the curriculum is through, and we're able to meet with them and really talk more about getting the best use out of the program itself, the curriculum that has been paid for 5th grade, and then we're piloting for 6th, 7th, and 8th. And that was overall, the staff felt it was a beneficial use of their time. And I hope that we start to really see those advancements through that. I think there's one more thing. Yeah. Last Friday, our 7th and 8th grade football players were fortunate that they got to go to the 2A championship at the Unidome and watch the game. And though our our eighth grade team struggled a little bit. I think this was a great thing for them to go to and see what's out there and the opportunities. All the kids came back just really excited about it, and I'm really appreciative to Mr. Moles, Mr. X, and Mr. Robinson for taking the boys, and for Mrs. Jacobs is making this a regular occurrence as it went last year. We're continuing to work hard at OMS doing what we believe is best for all students.
Thank you very much, students, for the donation.
You're welcome.
Okay. We will get any questions, I guess.
Wait towards the bottom, that's.
We're on to Mr. Penn.
You haven't got this figured out.
I know,
Yeah, I know.
I need a
It's the last
bookmark it,
line.
or I need a bookmark it or flip the order, and I just, haven't done it, so I apologize. But would hate to make you do more scrolling than necessary.
It's
That won't
these guys
happen.
that worry about getting car sick.
Right?
I
I apologize. Couple shout outs here really quick. Our Veterans Day Assembly went excellent. Thanks to Ms. Jacobs for getting that organized. The MASH, as Ms. Jacobs alluded to, was really awesome too. That was Ms. Stang and Pastor Sean for doing that. And then I'm sure many of you are aware, but Jody Board passed away. And while Miss Fielding was gone, Linda Murphy filled in and took care of the choir, made sure they kind of stayed up to date with things, and then took them to the NICL concert choir. So that was a big help for our choir and for Miss Fielding and our students. So just a quick shout out to her for stepping up when we really needed her. Happy updates. So a lot of cool stuff going on here in the last month. We did our Whatever It Takes awards for the first quarter. So that was a practice that started actually with Mr. England's principal. Those are awards just to recognize students that just get after it regardless of their situation. It's not necessarily about having all 4s or A's or whatever. It's just about kids that go through stuff and still come to school and do their best and make the best of whatever situation that they're in. So that was really nice. One of our district goals is meeting that 93% attendance award, or excuse me, 93% attendance. And so our 10th grade PLC team went through and recognized all the students that were less than 3 absences or had perfect attendance and handed out some McDonald's coupons to get like a burger or chicken nuggets or something like that. Like they all there are multiple things you could redeem it for. And so that was really awesome. They didn't do just the 10th grade, they did the entire school. So I thought that was really nice. They could have just done their own grade, but they helped out with everybody, so that was cool. Healthy, the National Honor Society just did a blood drive today, so we were able to get some blood rounded up for people that were in need. The FFA managed to put together 30 boxes of food to feed 30 families, and those will be going out tomorrow, so that was pretty awesome. There's some pictures below for the awesome. I was walking through the other day, Mr. Castley had Mr. Sorensen and Mr. Castley have been doing the CO2 rocket cars with the 8th graders and the 9th graders, but that's what excitement looks like at the high school when you've got compressed gas in a tiny little container, you're just popping it open and racing these cars. They go like 35, 40 miles an hour in the hallway, so you've got kids crouched down there. It's a lot of fun, and they have competitions, and it's cool to see the thought processes those kids go through. Like, some of them want to make them super duper tiny and light, which you would think would make the most sense, but then once you release that gas, one kid's car snapped in half while I was there. And so it's just it's a really cool learning experience for the kids because, you have to take in multiple considerations when you're building one of those really cool cars. So that was neat. What else we got? Oh, so the choir and the band went to the NICO concert or the honor events, and those went really well. And then we also did a change drive to raise money for the Plentiful Pantry as well, and we came up with around $400. So we'll get that check to them, and we'll do some good stuff with it. So. Mr. Hadley, I'm sorry, did I miss anything?
No. There's always more, but it's hard to capture everything that we do. Pretty awesome, and happy and healthy. I just made that up.
To jump on what Derek brought up about attendance, just so you guys are all aware, the last few years our attendance, definitely COVID related, has dropped below the 88, 87% as a district. And in 2019, 2018, we were in the 91 to 92 range percent. which was below the state average for attendance. And so just some internal conversations around, it's hard to meet our goals as a district and with our student learning if they're just not here. And so it really has become a focus of our principals and all across the district that this year the goal is 93%, and then next year is 94%, and the following year is 95%, which would be about the state average. So far this year, we have hit 93 or above, except for maybe one building, one in October, it was close, if I remember right. But as a district, we have hit over 93 every month, and we've been through October, which kind of starts some, cold and flu season, and even now in November, I think we're 3 weeks in, and we have hit 93% or close to it all the way through November. So we are anticipating that it's going to dip once some cold stuff hits, but the longer we can sustain that level, and then as soon as we can get back to that level, kind of following cold and flu season in the spring, we should be able to hopefully hit that target for the entire school year. And what that means is our principals are following up very regularly and very early with some of our, chronic offenders. We've redone our attendance policy, we've changed how we communicate with parents, we've changed how we interact with different attendance things that happen. We have set goals, the teachers have talked about it more frequently with kids. The reports are getting out to teachers and students on a regular basis. When you track what matters, you hopefully start to see some differences, and we are seeing a difference, and a big, huge shout out to these guys sitting over here, because they have owned it this year, and it is definitely showing up in the numbers, and fingers crossed it shows up in the performance from our students as well. Appreciate that. All right, so hopefully you guys are super excited to see this. It was, I don't know, I'll show you the results, and I kind of broke them apart just so they're easier to digest, because there was 15 categories to rate at first, and then I think 35 kind of project-based things to rate, see how everybody ranked it. And then just for some anecdotal pieces, I sent the exact same survey to our principals and to all of our directors to see how they would rank all those things. So, pull this up. So feel free to ask questions or seek clarity on any of these, and hopefully we can get some dialogue going to kind of talk through things that maybe surprised you, or maybe if there's anything that anybody wants to advocate for over something else, and then we can kind of get a game plan, so to speak, of directional planning for the next few years and on how we want to spend our save and PEPAL funds. All right, so in the categories, there was 15 of them, kind of broad strokes. These were the 3 least favorable topics. So the lowest scores, just so you're aware. So updating auxiliary buildings and storage, branding and signage, and then indoor athletic facilities. Any surprises there? Derek, do you think number 3 surprise?
A little bit.
I did too at first, but I think sometimes I read this as it's not necessarily, it's not that it's not a priority, it's that we've made it a priority in the past, and I think that we have quality facilities. And so I read it as not a priority moving forward in terms of how to invest our money, in terms of next steps. And you guys can definitely comment if that's how you took it and how you rated things.
That's how I did it. I feel like, our gym is great, and softball, and baseball, and football for sure.
Yeah.
Tennis is probably our lowest,
Mark and Alana Levine were in the gym yesterday at the community Thanksgiving, and they worked here for years and saw our gym. The now they travel the state to follow their grandkids playing basketball at very high levels. And they walked in and they were just like floored. Like this is just as good as gym as we go in anywhere. And their granddaughter, who will play at the University of Iowa, plays at Solon. So when they're saying that our gym rivals, you know, any gym they've been in, I think that's definitely a compliment. All right, so here's the top 5 of categories. Updating the car and bus fleet. Energy savings. You guys will notice the theme here, there's 3 fours. Maintaining the grounds. And then updating sidewalks and parking. Keeping our mechanical systems functioning. And then roofs, windows, and exterior brick. Any thoughts or surprises there?
Rotation, I guess, I don't know where to go.
We do.
That one.
Yeah, we have a rotation and kind of a systemic way about going about it. And we have, the nice thing is that we have that built into our budget, so it's not like we have to pull in more money necessarily unless you guys wanted to. But we do have a pretty systemic way to go about rolling through our buses and our cars on an annual basis. The only difference I would say significantly between you guys and kind of the management team in this area, the one that, these were all very similar to how the management team rated it as well, but technology and technology infrastructure was much higher for the management team. All right, and then specifically items. I don't know if any of these will surprise any of you. So the bottom 3 of 35. An electric bus, replacing the marquee up front, and then they tied for the 2 worst were, because football and then baseball and softball were separate, so those are the 2 lowest scores, were turf for the football field and turf for the baseball and softball field. So, no heartbreak from me on those, but just put them out there to see what everybody thought. All right, and then I did them, because there was 35, I did the top 10 most favorable. So I'll roll right through these. Middle school bathrooms.
It's just an action race to number 1.
Amen.
All right, okay.
Middle school classroom walls.
Sorry, she's just really.
Middle school hallway floors.
This is all about.
It's weird that these came in at 8. This is legitimate how they got ranked. Parkside windows and doors. The bus barn and central office drainage issues. You know, when these guys all took it individually too, you could like see who was taking it, and then notice how they scored things.
Oh.
Everything's anonymous. All right. Number 5, Little Husky flooring. And then pave the high school parking lot. This is an interesting sequence here. Okay, so pave the high school parking lot. And then putting money towards concrete. And then putting more money towards concrete. And then the last one is upgrading the HVAC system at Sacred Heart. The number 1 rating. Any thoughts or surprises there?
What is the school's arrangement with Sacred Heart? Do you rent it or?
We lease it.
You lease it? Okay.
Yep, and in that lease agreement, we have language for how we pay or plan for upgrades. So when we leased it, it was not competition ready at all. And so we leased it with the intent of investing in the building. So we have about $250,000 in it, just from, we put in new basketball hoops and basketball hoop risers, new bleachers, and then we sanded down the floor to bare wood, repainted, and refinished. Lighting, oh yeah, and we put in all new LED lights. And then the kind of the phase two, we knew at some point, I had a pretty archaic boiler system that makes it, 95 degrees in there in the middle of January, and then no air conditioning in the summer. So to make it a modern facility, it was our hope at some point to upgrade the HVAC, and then kind of the third phase, eventually, it will be to upgrade the locker rooms. So the plan, Joe, we started this was the community, I shouldn't even say the community, but we've had people in the community and some coaches from time to time advocate that we needed an additional competition gym. And for us to do that, it would be probably, the time, 3 or 4 years ago, when we were talking about this, a $3 to $4 million investment to add a competition gym that you could hold varsity events in, locker rooms, bathrooms, and all that stuff. So this arrangement saves us a ton of money in terms of having the facility, but our side is we want to invest in it like it's our own, so that it is usable like our own. And I think, we're only allowed to sign 5-year leases at a time by code, but we've committed to, that we see a long-term trajectory there with the parish to, to be in it for the long haul, just because we need it. When the heat went down recently, I think there was a lot of wondering of how soon we can get it back up, because practices, youth basketball, all that kind of stuff needed to be in there, and without having a functional heat source, it was going to make it tough.
Does the same obligations go to the school? Taking care of the
What do you
school?
mean?
The Sacred Heart School, the building?
Oh, no. Nope, it is, so when we leased the school, it was a separate lease, and that lease has ended.
Okay.
So our only obligation is towards the gym now.
Okay, I'm assuming you have, 3, 4 years on that current gym lease?
2, 3.
We're halfway through the second year, aren't we? We're halfway through the
Third year.
We're gonna work our way through it.
Yes.
Okay, understood.
But you didn't mention the amount of lease.
Oh, yeah, the amount of lease is like $1.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Pretty easy to swallow.
Yeah. And then there are other, I think we've had, our golf coaches are looking forward to potentially getting some like golf simulators and golf trackers that we can put either on the stage or in the old pre-K room that was back there. There's, when we repainted the floors, put tennis lines down so we can have indoor tennis, not necessarily competition ready, but practice. And we have volleyball in there, although volleyball's tough in August and September because it's hot. But I think that's the idea, is that we have just the space for our kids.
We held prom there last year.
Yeah, we did have prom there.
It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Going back?
I think so.
Cool. Okay. Back to my list.
So just one thing I just wanted to point out, the school's only allowed to have a 5-year lease at one time, and you do not have to wait for a lease to come to an end before you renew another one if necessary.
Correct. You could always, you could push it out annually 5 years.
So if there was some big commitment to put an HVAC system in there, maybe we could work something out with Sacred Heart to where we could go for another 5 right now, or the next year, not thinking we only have 2 years left, and then see what happens. That makes sense.
Okay, so for conversation's sake, and just to kind of see the whole picture, I put that top 10 list together in one kind of list there. Other seems smaller. And like, I just threw, from my experience working with these things, some numbers at it. And like, that $200K for middle school bathrooms, that would be one set of bathrooms. To do both, you're talking about probably about closer to $500,000. And then, but that's so, that's basically breaking them down, putting fixtures back in where the fixtures are, putting in new, what are they called, stalls, and then new tile, and basically a whole new reno. but that does not include changing the plumbing. If you move the plumbing or even how things are laid out, you're gonna double it. So one set of bathrooms would cost you $500,000, two would cost you $1 million. Middle school hallways, the middle school walls on the entire east side. I mean, it is essentially the entire east side of the building. And again, it could be $500,000 if you just kind of parsed it out and did some different things, or if you gutted the entire thing and did a whole new reno on that end and changed the layout and changed a bunch of different things, it could be $3 to $4 million. So again, there's some caveats here. There's a lot of different design variables that can change, but just in terms of thinking about these projects, that's kind of the range. Some of them pretty easy to knock out. I mean, continuing to upgrade and looking at that concrete thing. Obviously, if it's a higher priority, which it is for the board, we can definitely look at chunking apart different projects, going out and getting bids and kind of seeing what those things look like. Little Husky flooring is easy to do in the summer for $25,000. That's a no-brainer. Updating the floors in the hallway at the middle school is a no-brainer. Sometimes you got to start having deeper conversations, though, of we probably went 2 or 3 years beyond the carpet life at Wiggs Park, but we chose to do so because we knew that there was going to be a renovation coming. So why drop $50,000 when you're going to tear it out for a reno anyway? So some of them do have to play together, depending on how they get ranked. Financially, that $2 to $3 million is probably out of range for the next 5 or 6 years. But it's something to probably keep thinking about and planning for in terms of how everything gets put together, in terms of renovations and priorities. Any thoughts on any of these things? Want to advocate for anything, or?
What I find interesting is when you ask the big picture questions, a lot of the things that came to the top are things that are actually going to help our general fund.
Mm-hmm.
When we got down to individual projects, very few of those will actually help the general fund at all.
That is correct. So the energy savings was high.
Correct.
But solar didn't really, on solar I think was somewhere in the middle. It was, maybe in like the 15 or 16. We don't, LED lighting is pretty much done, so that's not an issue. Geothermal is done, but we are probably looking, we're almost 20 years into our geothermal system, and so it's not necessarily end of life, but it's going to need more significant upgrades over the next decade. So it's something to kind of also keep on our radar in terms of how do we defer those costs in a safe way without, kind of getting underwater with having to replace HVAC systems. Anything else anybody's passionate about that they're like, no, this needs to be higher, or want to see done sooner than later? I did find the pothole out here in front of the middle school. So unfortunately though, it's to fix that pothole. Outside of just putting in some patch, it's like an entire section of concrete that has to come out. It's probably a $10,000 repair. And it'll shut down the major traffic thoroughfare that comes through there every morning where people go to work for a few weeks. People that go on East Line Road and they cut through Glenda. Okay, I don't have anything else. That's the list. Principals, any kind of last chance?
And I do have 2 students that are directly affected with this. I understand that $2 to $3 million for the classroom walls is a huge amount of money. But with our current status with walls, you can hear what's going on in the next classroom, and you think about, go back to your middle school self and remember how your mind was like, squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. Well, squirrel is happening all the ways around them, because it's very hard for some of them to concentrate. Again, I know, but I just want to put that out there. Both Peyton and Jackson have most of their classes in those rooms in you agree, or am I making it up?
I agree. If someone bumps against a wall, the whole wall shakes, disrupting the classroom activities. And people can put paper slips under the walls.
Oh, this
So-
is perfect, thank you. I was right here.
Yes. You would have too.
All I would.
Yeah.
Well, this discussion.
And our bathrooms, which you've already seen.
I mean, obviously, the high school only has a parking lot up there, but my concern isn't aesthetics, but safety. Our current gravel lot is, in some places unsafe, even the entry and exit. And we're working on potentially blocking off one of the exits, especially right there at the intersection. But it's tough, especially when we have guests and people coming. Just there's no way to paint the gravel to make parking, and sometimes we have to go out and make students rearrange, and that's a learning process for us. But I would really say that it would be, just a safety concern at the high school parking lot to upgrade that. I know it's a big ticket item, but I think it would last a really long time if done correctly too.
The problem with gravel is down this time of year, you can't ever get it clean, so it just becomes ice.
Yep.
And then the kids love it, and they also hate it, because that's when we have accidents and stuff like that. Like Mr. Hadley said, it's a big number, but
I think just even aligning the crosswalks too would be nice, and making those a little bit more designated.
Our walls could fall on top of you. Oh, I didn't know if that's what we were doing.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
The movable walls is
Walls.
worse. The movable walls is worse. You can have that.
Yeah, I wasn't disputing.
Yes, you can, the trouble with even putting in walls, that's what we did at, Wings Park is all, it's walls that go from the floor to the roof deck, and they're insulated, and then there is a high resistant, drywall on them, that's, supposed to last longer and take abuse from kids and kicking and that kind of thing. So that's possible. It is cheaper than block, but very quickly we'll get to the 200,000 plus mark, and will need to be designed, engineered, electrical, that kind of thing. So in a perfect world, you could hire a contractor, and for $100,000 to $150,000, you could say, replace these 2 or 3 classrooms. We'll move out, you get it done, we'll move back in, and then we'll move you on to another project for $100,000, $150,000, get these couple classrooms. If we had a contractor locally that we could trust to do that for about that price, I think that it'd be worth working through. So, I think it's worth one discussion.
Also, to your point about the general fund, there is something about curb appeal in a district and making an destination district that would be a real shot in the arm for the general fund too. Solar's sexy. Nobody's going to argue that, but those top 5 would go a long ways toward appeal.
So, not an action item, but I think what we'll do is we'll keep coming back over the next month or two with some real things that are going to start to really kind of knock at the door for this. So, CGA was put on hold for design of the high school parking lot and the bus barn drainage issues until January, until kind of budget season. So we will kind of kick the tires with them in our budget to kind of see where that process is at, how much more investment we have to make in the design process so that we could potentially go out for bids and just see what the real cost would be to doing that. I met with Pete from Boyd Jones at the ISB conference, and he is getting me a handful of trusted engineers to start talking about engineering design of the HVAC hopefully, I don't know if we'll have something for you December, but hopefully by January, we'll have some either contracts to look at or a design process for that side of things. We do probably have to move faster than slower on the HVAC system. At Sacred Heart, since we are currently under temporary heat, and lead time for new equipment can be anywhere from 6 to 9 months. So we definitely need to kind of be on the scurry side of things for that. Other than that, I mean, it's some of the stuff I think we can start maybe looking at planning for the summer. Flooring at Little Husky, flooring at the middle school, for sure can definitely happen this summer, and we can budget for them for next fiscal year and then get a plan for what that looks like. And then the bigger projects, high school parking lots ongoing, middle school walls is ongoing, middle school bathrooms is ongoing. But I think knowing that they're out there and you guys are interested in them, gets it on our radar, and we can kind of start that 2, 3, 4, 5-year plan to work at getting those things resolved. Okay.
Moving on to consent agenda items.
Second.
Carl made the motion and Bob Busk the second to approve the consent agenda items as presented. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same. Motion passes. Item 11 is to approve the first reading of board policy 800.
So we went through some delays this summer, and we're catching back up here. So this will get us done this fiscal year to get everything digitized back into this series. So 800 is all business procedures, and then 900. So there's not a ton in terms of the overall scope, but 3 different series here that kind of hit on different things. These had just kind of been redone in the last couple of years, so there was not a ton of stuff that's changed. But willing to talk about or look through anything anybody wants to talk about. With that, I recommend approval, and I appreciate everybody's patience on getting these all updated this calendar year. And so starting in 2023, we will get back to a normal cycle where we look at a series every 6 months.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of board policy 800, 900, and 1000 series.
Second. Aaron made the motion and Aaron the second to approve the first readings of the board policies as presented. Discussion. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same. Motion passes. B is to approve the district organizational chart provisions.
Due to some retirements and losing some capacity, we have had a lot of internal conversations and would like to make a recommendation to make some shifts in our organizational structure kind of within our management team. So it's important that everybody knows that in the kind of the mainstream, the educational stuff, the principals, myself, that there really is essentially no change that will be seen or even noticed, that that structure is staying the same. The technology and information goes kind of under what would be Michael's purview as the chief financial officer. We are not going to be using these titles either, so it was kind of a formalization of how we wanted to change the structure, and we needed some different terms so that we could see that structure we're going to have to set up kind of an additional layer. The most significant change will come with the addition of a chief operating officer. And so this is essentially somebody that is taking the project management capacity that Kevin had, and then adding some additional kind of management structures for evaluation, oversight, and just kind of the day-to-day organization of the workflow between kind of all of our all of our operations. food service, maintenance, transportation, environmental services, and then all of our grounds. So taking care of our athletic fields and trees, mowing, leaves, snow, that kind of thing. So we do have a retiree that we are not planning to replace. So that's all in this next item. So position-wise, this is all made possible as the district will save money due to retirement, and then that savings, not entirely, is redistributed to creating operations director, and then CFO remains unchanged financially. Office of Environmental Service is unchanged financially. We do add some money to the Director of Grounds and Fields, and then we would create some stipend for the kitchen management position. All of these positions are in the non-union group, so they're non-negotiable. It does not go into either of our unions for negotiated costs. The money was already in that silo, and it stays in that silo. That kind of helps frame your mind around that. The red up here, the direct report, so these are the specifically who gets reported to, and their red means that they are essentially either a new position or that there's financial component to it. We've started the process of creating job assignments. I didn't want to get too far down the road without board approval. So once you approve it, we will assign the jobs to those individuals, and then we've started the job duties list for each of those positions. And then in December, it would be my ask then to come back and say, here's the actual job descriptions that we envision this looking like, and this is the job that these people are going to do with their input. And then also approving the change or the amended contracts that also happen with those structures. And then ultimately, those changes would take effect January 2nd or 3rd. It's a holiday. But when they come back from kind of their Christmas break, they would start on January 1. The nice thing about the timing of this too is that it's perfect. It's a half year for us. So contractually, we prorate that contract change for half a year and then move forward. It's a lot. We shared this with our management team this morning. It was well received. So I think there is a lot of positivity in this change and getting some organization and maybe some more kind of hands-on leadership that I'm not able to provide that we currently need with the loss of some of our folks that have been here for a long time. So that's kind of the challenge, is that we need some more hands-on that I can't give, while also providing the instructional leadership that I have to do in the buildings and to our principals.
And the COO would report to you then?
Yes. Yep. That's one of the pieces, Joe, that we've talked about internally. Just what is the so there might be a short-term transition and a long-term transition. So, I currently am evaluating and meet monthly with all those reports. So with the maintenance director, transportation director, food service director, technology director, I meet monthly with all those people, and I'm already halfway through the year of that evaluation cycle. So we may transition that slowly, and I finish up and then kind of pass the baton one at a time, so that the new person can kind of take it on without being like, oh my God, I got to now evaluate and oversee and report to these 4 or 5 people. But ultimately, yeah, I think the goal is that there is, it lets me be more hands-on with the principals and in the buildings, and that stuff can be managed a little bit more day to day, and that person then reports to me maybe more of a weekly basis. Any other questions?
Which positions did you say are going to not be?
So none of these positions. Well, so the director of grounds would not be non-union. COO is non-union, and the food service, although the food service is union, this is a stipend that we will hold within the non-union group. So the food service individuals will get a stipend, and that stipend remains in the non-union group. It will not be in the union group. So we're not creating a separate position. So there's not an extra tier. So they still get their food service base that they normally would, and then it's almost like a coaching contract. But they get a stipend that we hold within the non-union side. Other questions? Sorry.
Questions or a motion?
I recommend approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the updated OCSD district organizational chart and positions.
Aaron made a motion, I'll second it to approve the organizational chart positions as presented. Discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same, motion passes. Item C is to approve the 22 bank accounts.
Alright, so this is an annual thing. We do it every year at our annual meeting. This is our ending balances for the fiscal year. You just see where each of our accounts is held and what our beginning position was in 2021 and where our ending position is in 2022. This is required for us to do on an annual basis at our organizational meeting. It would be more idealistic to do this in September as we've kind of wrapped up the fiscal year, but with the election change a few years ago and then the organizational now happening in November, this is where we do it. So this is really Michael's baby, but he's got a bunch of other stuff to talk about, so I took it for him.
Well, the negative number there is spending out the bond year over year. So that's what that minus 8.8 is. Year over year, we usually don't carry 17 million in the bank, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But yeah, you can see that save bond went from 10.1 to 419 in those 12 months. So.
Recommend approval.
I'll make the motion to approve the fiscal year 22 bank accounts.
I'll second. Buska made a motion and a second to approve the bank accounts as presented. Discussion. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same, motion passes. D is to approve the updated ESSER 3 plan.
So this is the final time we have to do this. This will carry us through the end of the fiscal year, and the last renewal, which we're required to every 6 months or twice a year. The only change is language we added at the very bottom of this section, and this is about just retaining recruitment of well-trained staff. So we definitely have seen issues with inflation and with the competitive marketplace trying to keep and maintain our staff. And so we're kind of asking for permission. We're designating that we will spend some ESSER funds to that end. So with that, I would recommend that you approve the new updated ESSER 3 plan.
I'll make the motion to approve the updated ESSER 3 plan.
Second.
Eric made a motion, Buska seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. E is to approve the resolution concerning staff retention.
All right, so with board feedback, we have put together a resolution. This was actually written by our attorney. So I'll kind of go through here section by section. So the school district recognizes that school districts across the state of Iowa are experiencing staffing shortages. because of residual effects of the pandemic, and that we anticipate staffing issues will continue throughout the rest of the school year. We believe that we'll maintain adequate staffing levels is essential for our mission, and that in light of that, with regular district operations and providing retention incentive to staff to remain employed to the school district through the 2022-23 school year, we will use ESSER funds to do this. To do so, the school board will authorize the business manager to facilitate a one-time retention incentive each employee of the school district that remains employed throughout with OCSD throughout the 2022-23 school year. The payment will be made to all classification groups. Payments will be listed that are 1.0 FTE employees, and that they will be prorated, or that the ones that are not will be prorated based on their FTE. Those that have been here for 1 year or less will receive $500. 2 years or less, but less than 3 years will get $1,000. 3 years or more will get $1,500. So this basically carries us throughout the entire pandemic. All long-term subs will get $500, and then here's your question. Michael, I think, has the specific answers on the substitute issues, and then $500 for substitute drivers. The caveat I think that is important here, because it is a retention bonus, is that in the event an employee receives a retention bonus does not satisfactorily complete the terms of their contract in the 2022-23 school year, the employee shall be obligated to return the entire payment to the district in full. So, a lot of meat on that bone.
Is there any consideration to sign up for next year too?
We have to have our money spent by FY, by this fiscal year, so June 30th has to be out. So, or do you mean like that they sign up for next year to get an additional incentive?
Well, not additional.
Just,
Not,
oh,
also give off this, they don't sign a new contract.
gotcha. I don't know what the mechanism of that would look like to cross over fiscal years legally. So you could do a caveat that they sign a contract for next year, but enforcing it I think would be challenging. Once we pay the contract out, and then if they don't return, in the summer, after the summer's over, I don't think we have any mechanism to go get that money back. So teaching wise, I think you might have some leverage because their final payments don't hit until August. But for our support staff, you would have no mechanism to enforce that. Correct?
Correct. They're paid as they work.
I move to accept the retention resolution as mentioned.
Joe made the motion, Aaron seconded to approve the resolution as presented. Discussion. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same. Motion passes.
Sorry, I did not, just so you guys know too, that I did not mention, this will be deliverable by our next payroll, so December 5th. Sorry about that.
F is to approve the required transfer of the ESSER funds from the general fund to PEPAL.
This one did not make it onto the board agenda last month. It was for our first quarter of FY23 transfers. Honestly, the system where we submit these claims was kind of sluggish in getting rolled out. It is rolled out now. In fact, today we just submitted our final first quarter claim that usually we have to have those in by October 15th. So it's just kind of a taste of how behind the 8 ball it's been this fall. But anyway, I apologize for not having it last month for you because we didn't know the amount. Obviously, it all had to happen by September 30th. But at any rate, this is just your approval to move the money from the general fund over to PEPAL for bills we already paid through September 30th. So.
move we approve the required ESSER three funds from the general fund to capital fund in the amount of $148,650.25. Pay for capital improvement project including corporate expenses for Q1 fiscal year 23.
I'll second. Bob Paul made the motion, Erica seconded to approve the transfer of funds as presented. Discussion. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, same, motion passes. G is to approve the auditor selection.
So this is another one that is coming late. We discussed this whole deal with Nolte Corman. They were our auditor for many years. They are not going to be our auditor this year or anytime soon. In talking with other schools, they ran into the same issue, and in sending this out, we sent this RFP out probably, if I was to make an educated guess, 20 to 25 different audit firms. This is the proposal that we received in response. Kate Chapman out of, where is it? Out of Muscatine. Proposed doing it for us, locking in for 3 years. And the fees would be $17,000 for 2022. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
So this is a slight increase over Nolte Corman, but they are the only bid, and they are locking in for 3 years. We did have interest in other auditors, correct, potentially, but not for this year.
Yeah.
That is just, it was late enough that they had their docket full. So the market may be loosening a little bit in future years, but you know, having somebody willing to lock us in for 3, I think is probably still better than, you know, go back and say, oh, we only want a year, and then go back out to the market again.
So what do you do as far as the fee for the 2 years?
It's $700 every year.
It is.
Yep.
What were you paying before?
15 and change.
Yeah. And it's pretty reasonable to assume we'd have seen, it would have been this much or more for Nolte to do it. Like, I mean, everybody went out because they know their worth when the market's the way it is.
So it's a lucrative market if anybody wants to get their CPA and go do school audits. I told Michael if he wanted to, that I'd just be his business manager, and I could go out and hustle and get all the contracts for him.
Been straight out already.
Yeah.
Side gig, you mean, or what?
Yeah, as a side gig. Yeah, they were free time.
No retention bonus for you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or motion?
I would recommend that we approve the audit contract with Kate Chapman.
I move to approve the Kay Chapman proposal for audit.
Joe made the motion, Bob Buska seconded to approve the audit of Chapman as presented. Discussion. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same. Motion passes. H is to approve the SBRC application for increased enrollment funding.
All right, hold on to your chairs here. Yeah, we got, so just before we go through all of them, just so everybody knows, so SBRC stands for this school business, I just had it on my head, now I forgot it. Audit review, yeah, it's an audit review committee, and they're a group of individuals that are selected at the state level, and they review and go over they oversee all school finance. So if they're the committee that if a school district does not meet its financial obligations, they can close you down. So they're kind of like the big bad wolf of school finance. But they're also the ones you have to ask for permission for to step outside of the regular statutory requirements of school finance. So if you spend money in a way, or need to spend money in a way that's not specifically allowed by code, or that the code says you have to have these people oversee specific things, you have to ask them for permission. So there are a few things that we do on a regular basis that we have to submit, and then it gets put into a large organizational document at the SBRC level. So they collect it, and then they just do it as a big, large consent agenda item, so to speak. And these are all those things. So what we have to do, the mechanism on our end, to go specifically ask for permission to spend money in a certain way with the SBRC board. So, without further ado, you can roll through these, Michael.
Yeah. The first one is kind of a nothing burger, to be honest with you. It's a zero request, so it's for increased enrollment. We didn't have an increase, so there's no funding requested here. It's just best practice that we put these in every year. There's 4 of these that we do every year, so this one is pretty straightforward and easy to entertain a motion on approving.
I move we approve the SBRC application for increased enrollment funding for $0.
Bob called me the motion, Aaron seconded to approve the application as presented. Discussion. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same. Motion passes. Item I is to, the application for open enrollment out.
So it's all the same application. This is the second one, so you can see there, previous enrollment was 0, preliminary eligible FTE is 37.1. Previous district cost per pupil is 72.27. That's O-line's cost per pupil. So when we take the difference minus the increase times the district cost per pupil, that's where we come up with our maximum request, and we request the maximum every year. So it's to the nearest dollar, which they don't let you round up, even though it's 70 cents, and it drives me nuts. But it's 268. It's 268,121 is what we're requesting there. So, and that is for it explains it there. May request MSA for students open enrolled out in the current year for whom the district is required, and we're not included in the required to educate, and we're not included in the certified enrollment count of the prior year.
So it gives us the authority to receive the money from the state on the annual basis instead of waiting 1 fiscal year to get it and then pay it out. So we're asking permission to get it, to pay it a year ahead of time. So we're getting more authority. Recommend approval.
Approve the SBRC application for open enrollment for $260,021.
Buster made the motion, Bob called second to approve the open enrollment out application. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same. Motion passes. J is to approve the application for the LEP instruction beyond 5 years.
So this is kind of a similar thing. So this is more the nuts and bolts of where all the data comes from for this. We might see an uptick in this funding next year. We've had some increased costs. It's limited English proficiency is what LEP stands for the alphabet soup followers. That's what LEP stands for. So we've had kind of an uptick in costs for this. So we might see more. We might see more next year. This year it was pretty minimal. The dollar amount there is $1,557, but every dollar helps. So this is requesting your approval to apply to the SBRC for it. So.
Recommend approval.
I move we approve the SBRC
So this one is, so it's interesting because usually we get the River Hills and Lead Center ones at the same time for the November meeting. I didn't see anything from River Hills this year yet. Obviously, my predecessor is over at Waverly and sent us the Lead Center admin costs for your review and approval here, and that's what's attached. I do know that at least one of the students that we have over at River Hills is graduating this year, so maybe that plays into that a little more when they know you're going to have at least one next year in their facility. So you can see O-line there is listed at 2.38. So are we 2.38 or are we 3?
We're 3.
We're 3. Okay, so we've got 3 slated to be there next year is what they're projecting with that, and then that's our share of the projected costs for next year. So this is us going to the SBRC saying, hey, we have a few high-cost students. These are the administrative costs alone that we're gonna face to pay at Lead Center for these kids. Please grant us additional authority.
So you're not allowed by code to pay an administrator out of special ed funds, like a principal. So the consortium, all these schools come together and say, we will all pitch in money to pay for an administrator to run this program. And then this is our portion of that based on our enrollment. But again, you can't pay an administrator that's not your administrator, so we have to ask special permission to do so. So, recommend approval, and there is an actual motion for you there on the next page.
Somebody has to read that, right?
Yep.
Not me.
I move that the Board of Directors of the Ojai Community School District approve the application to the School Budget Review Committee in the amount of $5,105.28 for special education administrative costs associated with the Lead Center Consortium program for the 23-24 school year.
Second.
Aaron made a motion and Joe seconded to approve the recommendation as presented. Discussion. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same, motion passes. Item 12 is reports.
Good job, guys.
So, mine's rather brief this month. Much of last month has been spent getting this Fed roster together. We're very close to, well, Josh signed off on the official count this morning actually with the AEA. They were here. And then it's been additional new staff. You guys have seen the personnel reports the last couple of months, so they've been coming in hot and heavy, so getting them all on board. And then finalizing the fall bed staff was that's our big like personnel report that we use for our counts for negotiations in the spring, and it's the way the state kind of keeps tabs on who we have teaching what, are they certified and licensed to do what they're doing, so it's good overall. And then the 22 auditor getting selected tonight, I'm anticipating a lot of focus on that over the next few weeks so that they can stay on pace to have it completed in time. So for audit.
Just two things briefly. One, I want to thank Candace for going down to ISB convention with me and presenting. We presented first thing in the morning. We were walking down to the session, and there's no way anybody's going to make it down to our session way down here in the basement. And we had a pretty good full house. And then I'm also thinking, as we're going to present, I'm worried that I don't have enough content, and that we're going to talk for like 15 minutes, and then we're going to sit there and everybody's going to stare at us like, what are we doing here? But we actually ran out of time. We didn't get through all of our slides, and then we had a whole bunch of questions at the end. The most rewarding part for me, Candace, feel free to add anything if you want, but it was nice to hear the questions at the end, and and like maybe how chaotic other places are and how nice it is here. Like, it is nice to go to superintendent meetings and the conventions and those kind of things and to hear that things are pretty good here, and that was a really nice reassurance. I know we learned a ton, took a ton away from the conference, but definitely being reassured that, you know, it's not so bad, I think was worthwhile. So, thank you for that. And then the other thing, over the past 4 years, I've kind of developed a little bit of a hobby to run numbers on state classification. So the Iowa High School Athletic Association, Iowa Girls Athletic Union, they simply classify schools for participation by size. And there are significant inequities that are presented in that process. For instance, the state volleyball tournament, out of the 5 schools that won state championships, 4 were parochial and 1 was a public school district. The state champions for the football championship, only 1 school district was above the state average in free or reduced lunch. All the rest of them were significantly below. And so it's something that I'm passionate about, and I've done quite a bit of research and work on. It hasn't gotten a ton of play. I've kind of maybe been a thorn in a few people's side down at the association or the union over the past few years. But recently, Keith Murphy did a piece on it for WHO out of Des Moines, and it started getting more kind of play and press. And then Matt Carver, who is the school administrator of Iowa Legal Counsel, has been on Twitter kind of pushing things out. And we've all got, kind of gotten connected, and some of my research that I've done in the past has kind of come back to light. And so it's getting more press, more play in recent weeks. And so it's been rewarding to be connected to that. And it connects you with other administrators from around the state. And there begins to be some concerted efforts to work together and maybe making some change happen. I don't know if change will happen, but it is something that I'm passionate about and will continue working on until there is change. Because when you see the numbers and you see the differences that some kids have over other kids, and that they're stepping on the field and it's not a fair fight, I have a problem with that. And so it's just work that I'm going to hopefully continue to do, and hopefully the board supports me on that. It doesn't take me away from my regular day job, but it's just something I kind of do in the background, or as you sit and watch Netflix at night, I kind of poke away at the computer and do some data and some research on it. So just thought I'd share it with you guys so that you're aware of what's going on. And if you see anything out there that might make anybody upset, it's really coming from a good place.
Move it on to discussion.
I guess I thought about it afterwards, but that SBRC application for open enrollment out, that's for all the students that are leaving the district?
Yes. Okay. Yep, that's so that we don't get the money for them until next year. And so it gives us the authority to spend the money now, and then we receive the money later.
Okay.
So it gives us a higher authority limit, really. So the way to think about it is like our credit limit got bigger. We don't get more money per se, which is a little bit tricky to kind of think about, but our credit limit got bigger, so they gave us more credit.
Okay.
And all the school finance people in the world will say anytime that you can get credit or get the authority to spend more money, you want to take advantage of that.
Gotcha.
We will not overspend, and we don't receive any more money or new money, and we don't spend any new money or money we don't have.
Okay.
We don't have any upcoming events, I don't think.
No, just regular December meeting.
All right, and since you're joining us evening. Aaron made a motion and Bob seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Same, motion passes. It's 8:47. Right.
You're isn't it? This is one of my favorite meetings of the year.
President Pro Tem Board.
Oh, we're not done yet.
I just need to stretch a little bit.
Yeah, no.
A little bit.
Meeting number 2.
Okay. I will call the meeting in order. It's President Pro Tem Board at 8:48 p.m. All right, so the first, yep, we do have a quorum. And the first item, or the third item, I guess, is to elect president and vice president of the new board. Members of the board are asked to elect a president and vice president to serve during the 22 to 23 year. Entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to nominate Candace as president.
Okay, Bob Bowski made the motion, Bob Culp seconded that King remain president of the board. We do need a paper ballot.
Paper ballots.
Okay.
Do you have any speaking notes?
I have.
Alan? You had to go to office or office?
Yeah, that's what I was.
Oh, I was like,
I have a notebook right here. if you want to share that. Okay. It's not, it's the joke.
Oh, we can get pens too, yeah.
Yeah, Bill, please,
do you have any pens?
All right, so you can vote, you vote yes or no on the motion. And then fold it in half, and then we'll collect them and read them. That's okay.
On the other side.
All right, there's your 6 votes of President Pro Tem.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for collecting.
Did you guys do this when you voted?
What?
Did you guys do this when you voted for
We just raised our
president?
hands.
Oh, the hand was down though?
Oh, yeah, we did that.
I didn't have sticky notes, I forgot.
Me too.
Based on projections, it's unanimous. Yes. 6-0. Okay. Now we need a motion for vice president.
I'll make a motion to keep Bob as vice president.
Which one?
Bob Culp.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Motion by Aaron Grimes, seconded by Bob Bowska, that Paul serve as vice president of the board.
Thank you. All right, there's your votes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your help.
Okay.
Yes.
I can't.
It'd be really dramatic if there wasn't no.
It would be awesome. It would make my night.
Yes.
No.
Projected. Yes, 6-0.
CNN can now project.
Yeah.
CNN.
Yeah. All right, so that takes us to the oath of office, which I will administer now. Yes, please. Raise your right hand. Okay. All right. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of President and Vice President in Oline Community School District as now or hereafter required by law.
Congratulations.
Alrighty, now we're done.
Back to you.
Alright, item 5, we need to discuss or determine what committees we're all gonna be on.
All right, so we have just taken the sheet and aged it a year. If there are any objections or anybody wants to move or make comment to any of these, feel free to do so. But we figured that most of the time everybody just ages it 1 year, so we just did that on your behalf. But feel free to update as you wish. We do probably need someone to jump on fine arts since Julie was on fine arts before. I don't know how frequently they really meet. And Jamie's not here to talk about that, but if anybody is interested in learning more about the Fine Arts Guild, we can hook you up with Dick Clapridge and the folks that oversee them. I think they meet a couple times a year.
You know, I can try to assume you some.
Okay.
Assignments, so, yeah.
Very good. I think that was the only thing she was on.
Oh, perfect.
Well,
Nailed it.
yeah.
I'm not steering committee.
No, we don't, yeah.
And I don't know that I ever went to a district leadership team either. I don't know. I don't know when they are, I guess, maybe I need to.
The third Wednesday of the month during the school day.
Oh, that's probably why.
Yeah. Shirley used to attend them, like,
Right.
she'd go to like 1 or 2 a year.
Alright, everybody fine with that? Okay. We don't need a motion or any of that.
I don't think you need a motion, no. I don't think so.
I had one last year.
All right, let's approve it.
To approve
Need a
committee
motion
assignments.
to approve these assignments, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the 22-23 committee assignments.
Gary made the motion and Erica seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, the same, motion passes. Back on to discussion, anybody have any discussion or comment?
We have gotten the county board designations, just so you guys, so you two know, that we've gotten those, and we'll send those back out now.
Buchanan County.
The Buchanan, yeah,
Bob
yeah.
Bosco.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think, they're just so, I mean, they don't meet in the spring, correct? Is that what you guys need?
Well, February sometimes, Buchanan.
We got a call this year. We did ours online, so.
You still drive? All right. Okay, we see another motion to adjourn. Motion, Aaron second, all in favor, raise your hand. Wow, 8, does it say 8:58?
56, good job.
6, that was speed.
Is there a third?
No, we're not. You are dismissed. Hey, thanks for staying.
Where's that what?